Welcome, everybody. My name is Alan Weisberg. I'm the host of The Love of Acting, and I have an enormous pleasure of speaking with somebody who is a host, an actor, a dancer, a singer, a lyricist, a musician, a music director, and a host. We can go on, but please allow me to welcome to the program the multi-talented Joshua Turchin.
Oh, thank you. Hi.
Hello, hello, and thank you for joining me. I love your show. I know we have similar styles, which was nice to see as well in terms of what we're wearing. The show I'm referring to is the early night show with Joshua Turchin. I love it. It's really great fun. If you're a fan of theater, if you're a fan of Broadway, if you've been missing Broadway like I have all of this time, you really need to watch it. And Joshua is doing a terrific job with it virtually. So I'm very happy about that. We're going to post the show right below. Everybody, please go check it out. I already subscribed and I'm following Joshua everywhere. Everybody should be doing the same. So, Joshua, I know on November 15th, there is an exciting live event that's happening. I'm going to read to make sure that I don't forget. It's from Schubert. It's going to be live streamed. It's your musical, The Perfect Fit. I'm very excited about it. Please tell us more.
I'm really excited that my musical that I wrote, The Perfect Fit, will be shown as a live streamed concert from New World Stages in New York City on November 15th at 7 p.m. We're going to have so many Broadway performers performing live, and you can get tickets at perfectfitmusical.com/tickets. And in fact, it's live streams, so that way you get to watch from the comfort of your home. You don't need to sneak food into theaters. You can really do whatever you want during the live stream. It's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. And again, we'll put a link on it in the description, so make sure that you follow through. And I'll be joining it. I'll be viewing it with my family. Very excited about it. Tell us more about the musical itself. I know a little bit about it, but I want to make sure that everybody understands why you wrote it and why people should be excited about watching it.
So the musical follows different pre-adolescents growing up in New York City, trying to overcome daily obstacles of vindictive stage parents, uplifting dance classes, and overall, they're just trying to find where they belong in the world.
Yeah, so it's interesting that again there is this concept of the dead zone where you're too old to seemingly, and seemingly is the operative word there, right? You're too old to play the kid and you're too young to play an adult. So that dead zone. My daughter is 16, she's kind of in that dead zone. She's coming out of it a little bit more now. My son is 11, so he's somewhat right in the middle of it. I remember in one of your interviews you mentioned that around the same age as my son, when you were about 10 or 11, you were already 5 feet tall, and people were telling you you're too tall to play the kids. My son is in that same boat. So I'm sorry that you kind of ran into that, but it's it's something that we really need to look at with a fresh set of eyes. So I'm hoping that your musical really gives people a different dynamic so they can start opening these things up. And once, knocking on wood, COVID time is over and Broadway opens, more and more opportunities will come to the incredibly talented teens out there.
Mm. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wrote my show, because when I was first starting to write it, I realized that there aren't many opportunities for teens and for really like kids in the industry once you like hit that dead zone. So that's when I came up with the idea for The Perfect Fit. And one of the main lessons I've learned from writing in musical theater is to write what you know, and that really just hits home for me.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons why I wrote it.
It's perfect. And is this again? I don't want to be presumptuous. Is this the first musical that you have written, or have you written others before?
This is one of the first musicals I've written. There's another one in development that's really cool. I don't know if I can really say what it is now, but yeah.
Stay tuned. We will get it. We will definitely stay tuned and watch it when it comes out. Um, what made you start the process? And again, the show is The Love of Acting, so I get to speak to actors who are really passionate about the craft. So everybody has their kind of story of what made them really believe that this is the life that they really want to pursue. What was yours, and when did that start?
I guess I've always really had a love for performing and acting and doing all of this stuff. I guess, well, it started with piano, and then my piano teacher said, "You have a really good ear." And then that went to singing. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I really want to do musical theater. The next step is acting. This was around like 6 or 7 years old. So I've been acting for about, my gosh, it's been around like 7, 8 years.
Yeah. And again, because you do so many things, because you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're an actor, is there one in particular that if you had to put aside others for a little while and just focus on one, is there one that you would take?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know if I really could put aside others for just one specific thing, because all like singing, acting, dancing, music directing, composing, and writing, they all complement each other and they all serve a purpose in their own ways.
That's true. A little bit of my backstory, just so you know where kind of I'm coming from and why this is so special for me to talk to you, is I'm a lyricist. You know, I'm an actor. I started writing lyrics and poetry when I was as soon as I could write. Basically, I was writing, and I always heard from people, "Are you sure this is your writing? You must be copying it from somebody because this is way kind of too mature for a little kid to write like that." So I always wanted to be an actor. I knew that I was going to be an actor. And then at the age of 14, I moved to the United States. So I kind of had to put all of that aside and assimilate. And then life came, and that's kind of my story. Watching you doing what you wanted to do, what you are really good at such an early age is heartwarming for me because in a way it's kind of living vicariously through your experience that I get a chance to see that. So going to the writing part, because again, you started writing very early as well. Did you get the same comments from people of like, that's not your writing, that cannot be? Did you get that too?
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like kids are very underestimated in their abilities. And like I remember when I was like 10 years old and I showed one of my first songs for the perfect fit to one of my friends. They're like, "You didn't write this, did you? This does not sound like a child wrote it.
Yeah.
This does not sound like a 10-year. This sounds like a professional wrote it." I'm like, okay. I don't know. I definitely had similar experiences. Um and I don't know. Yeah, I've always had a love for musical theater, especially like writing and composing. And I guess um I gained a lot of like my experience through my different jobs and working with different composers. And that definitely influenced my writing style too.
Of course. By the way, the little kind of story, maybe you want to do that. I don't think you have to at this point anymore, but at one point somebody said, this is not your writing. So I wrote them a response in a poetic form to prove that this was my writing. So that was my way of dealing with it. Um, in terms of your writing, again, because you're a composer and you're a lyricist, what comes first, the music or the lyrics? For me, I sometimes it's the lyrics. Sometimes I hear a piece of music and then I want to write lyrics to it. What is your process?
Well, for me, usually I do the piano and accompaniment, or the piano and like the melody first, and then sometimes I have a melody in my head, and then the lyrics come there, and then the piano. So it honestly just really depends.
I got you. Sometimes for me, it feels more like a type or a style of music. So sometimes I hear a waltz in my head, and it doesn't really matter which waltz. I just hear a waltz, so there is a tone, and then I write in the lyrics to that. And then I come back, and then I'm not a composer, but I kind of try to manage it and change it up a bit. So that's what I found with me.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead. Sorry.
No, very similar. Like sometimes if I want to if I come up with a melody for a song and then I have these lyrics but it doesn't necessarily fit the rhythm, I have to sometimes like cut down the lyrics or find a different way to rephrase them as well. Just so it fits within that like rhythm.
Makes sense. And going back to kind of how you got started, what was the first Broadway show that you saw live?
The first Broadway show that I saw live in New York City was The Lion King. I don't remember how old I was. I remember I was 2 years and 10 months when I saw my first show like ever. It was the national tour of Greece.
That's an interesting one to see right away. I like it. And let's come back to the hosting again, to the show. As I look at it, it says season 5, and I think episode 11 or 12, somewhere in there. When did you start the show? How long ago was this?
I started the show in March.
Okay.
Started as soon as the quarantine started in New York City.
Yeah. Gotcha. I started mine in May, so there's another similarity there as well. Although I don't do seasons, I just keep going. You're episode 108, so I should probably break them up into seasons, but right now we're still in season 1 as far as I'm concerned. So, what made you want to start the show? Because you're a really good host, and I like a lot of the things that you're doing on the show. How did that idea come about?
Well, first, you're an amazing host.
Oh,
I absolutely love your show.
thank you.
And with the early night show, how it sort of happened was originally we did it as a cabaret series starting in 2018,
Mhm.
and we've done a couple of installments of it, and then we were going to do another one, and then Broadway shut down in March, and I wanted to find a way to keep the art of performance alive during this quarantine. So that's when I had the idea for the early night show virtual edition, Corona Cabaret. I bring on many different Broadway guests and TV stars, and I interview them, and they sing a song. It's really, really fun.
It is. I can definitely attest to that. So if anybody has not seen it, please, click below. You'll really enjoy the show. They're all different, even though there is a similarity of format to it. All the shows are different. They're all custom, and they're really enjoyable. So, great job again, Joshua. In terms of being a host, I know that there are some actors that I talk to that I really have to manage my own fanboy and put that aside and be a professional. Because yes, I've been watching these people for 20 years and now I get to talk to them. So what has your experience been like, and who was your, oh my God, I really need to control myself so I can talk to them better?
For me, that was Laura Benanti. Like, it was so incredible having her on the show because she's a Tony Award winner,
Yeah.
and she's just the nicest person, and she has such an amazing voice.
Mhm. Absolutely. What's your favorite musical that she was in? I think I have mine. So what's yours?
I remember she was in The Sound of Music.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
um,
I loved her in, now the name of the musical leaves my mind, but it's with Zachary Levi and her. This
oh,
is She Loves Me. She Loves Me. So
that was one of my favorites that she was in. I
yeah,
actually got to see it, and she was so good.
yeah, she was amazing. I love Zach. I grew up kind of watching Zach in Chuck. So I had no idea that he had Broadway chops, and then kind of seeing the other side of him, I was blown away by how good he is.
They're all really amazing.
Yeah, it's again, I kind of grew up watching musicals. So, the old musicals with Fred Astaire and with Ginger Rogers and with Gene Kelly. So there was that kind of feeling that, well, right now I don't hear that. So does that mean that people before had the talent and right now they don't? And no, that just means that we have less of the traditional musicals on screen. Thankfully, over the last number of years, that started to change. But they're still incredibly talented people who can sing, who can dance, who can act and just be that kind of thing that I aspired to be as I was growing up. It's really heartwarming to see.
Yeah, they're just to see like all, and they're in more revivals of classic musicals as well, which just being able to see these like amazing musicals in person finally is such an amazing experience.
Yeah, and I'm in Chicago, so we have kind of Broadway that comes to us, and we have great productions here in Chicago. But going to New York, seeing Broadway in the places where it's supposed to be, it's just for me the first time was a mind-blowing experience. So I love that you're in New York. I pray and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that things will get back to normal, and a lot of my friends can get back to making the magic on Broadway happen again.
I miss Broadway so much, but if we all just do our part, try to stay as healthy as possible, wear a mask, we can hopefully the virus can go away as soon as possible.
Yeah, I hope so too. What's your favorite musical ever, if you had to pick one, which I know is a really difficult question to ask me as well?
My favorite musical has to be Once.
Okay.
It's really, really beautiful music.
Mine is The Producers. I still, it's to me, I still cannot get away from putting it as number one. I have so many that are 1A and 1B, but Producers for me is still number one.
It's a really, really, really amazing show.
Yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit more about kind of school, right? Because you have a show and you're writing things and you're performing and you're still studying. So how does your day break up in terms of kind of what you're focused on, and how do you get everything that you're doing accomplished?
Well, I'm in online school. I'm in George Washington University's online high school. And
Mhm.
with that, I'm able to work at my own pace. And so I get really, really ahead because if a job comes up or if I have something to do that day or one day, I don't need to do any school because I'm already really, really ahead for that day.
I got you. That's very nice. And from your parents' perspective, if there are those who are watching who are parents of really talented youngsters, what would you give as advice to the parents on how to help someone like yourself?
I guess what I can say is um, support your child
Mhm.
and or just support their dreams, support what they're aspiring to be. Um, because, well, my parents realized very quickly that I wasn't like a sporty kid. I did soccer for not even a year. It was one of the most miserable experiences of my life. I'm not a sporty kid, but my parents realized very quickly that music and writing is something that I love to do.
I get you. But again, as someone who's an actor, you know how important physical fitness is. So
Right.
what do you do to keep in shape? Because you're going to be, once Broadway comes back, you've been on tour. You know how many hours you have to work and how physically draining it is. So what is your process, and what do you do to stay in shape?
Well, I dance a lot. Um, and then I run as much as possible. Like in Central Park, I jog, and we also just got a like stationary like bike.
Yeah.
So that I also use that.
So between those three, that's really good. And again, it's so important. I was watching one of your shows on a treadmill just an hour ago, as I was prepping for the interview. I was on a treadmill. I needed to get my first 3,000 steps because I am much older than you are. But you'll see that you have to keep up with it. If you don't, your body really is not as effective, and in terms of emotion, in terms of just the physical stamina that you need as a performer. You really need to keep it going. So please do that. This is from somebody who's much older. Please heed my advice. Perfect. Last question for you. And again, I really, really enjoyed speaking with you, and I look forward to the Saturday when I can watch the musical. But if you had one advice to give to young young performers like yourself, what would that advice be?
I guess for aspiring like writers and performers, I would say for writing, no one can really tell you how you should write a show. A lot comes from personal experiences and experience that you've gained from working or watching all these different shows. For performing, I guess I can say, and also writing too, keep doing what you love. My parents say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and it's really true because whenever I'm writing or performing on stage, it doesn't feel like work. I just really love what I do and performing and singing. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Best of luck to you. Now that I'm subscribed and follow you everywhere, I'll continue seeing how you progress, and I'm really excited about the things that you're going to be able to do in the future.
Oh, thank you so much. And I cannot wait to keep watching The Love of Acting.
Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that. And thank you to everybody for tuning in. We know you love acting as much as we do, and this is why we do this for you. Thank you.
I was 6 back then. I played soccer because I thought that's what other boys did. I kicked a goal for the other team, then yelled touchdown. I just didn't fit. The other boys got so mad at me, but I honestly didn't care. The parents told me get off the field. I didn't want to be there. I'll never fit in. I paid the price for being me. When the punches roll in, I know they'll never see. I have no idea what to do to score that perfect goal. When I am still the guy, it's just the Tonys are my Super Bowl. I have no idea what to do to score that perfect goal. My instruments, my only friends in the Tonys are my Super Bowl. Whoa!